Have you ever noticed how some people seem completely unshakable? No matter what happens around them, crises, sudden failures, chaos, they just get up, make a quiet adjustment, and keep moving forward. Then there is the other side, people with talent, good intentions, ambitious plans. They start strong. They are highly enthusiastic for a week or two, and then they just vanish. They return to exactly where they started, almost as if they sabotaged their own progress. You might know someone like this. You might have been this person. Most people think this is a discipline issue, but a study from University College London showed that it takes an average of 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic, not 21 days, as the old myth claims, 66. And most people quit before they even hit day 14. The real issue is not a lack of willpower. It is something much deeper. The Japanese have a term for this kind of core issue. They look at it as a root problem. The truth is, you do not have a habit problem. You have an identity problem. You act inconsistently because you have not actually decided who you are. And centuries before modern neuroscience began studying this, a legendary swordsman understood it completely. It was 1612. A crowd gathered on a small island in Japan. They were waiting for the most anticipated duel of the era. One of the competitors was the most feared swordsman in the country. The other competitor was hours late. When he finally arrived, he did not even bring a sword. He stepped off a small boat carrying a rough wooden oar that he had carved into, a shape resembling a blade during the journey. Within moments, the duel was over. That man was Miyamoto Musashi. He fought over 60 duels in his lifetime and never lost. But his record is not the most interesting part of his story. What matters is why he remained undefeated. Musashi understood that consistency has very little to do with temporary motivation. It is about who you are when no one is watching. It is about doing the work when there is no crowd, no applause, and nothing but your own quiet doubts. But how does a modern person apply this? Let me tell you about a man named Jin who had to learn this lesson the hard way from a mentor named Obanai. Jin was 30 years old, but he carried himself like someone who had run out of options. He was not dealing with poverty or a severe illness. It was a different kind of weight, the quiet realization that he had wasted his own potential. 2 years earlier, Jin had started a trade business, dealing in traditional training gear and wooden practice weapons. On paper, it was a great concept. He had done his research, analyzed the market, and even secured funding from 2 close friends. But the business did not fail because of the market. It failed because of Jin. He would set his schedule for early dawn and only get out of bed mid-morning. He would promise suppliers a specific date, then send a messenger 2 days late to ask for an extension. When his cash flow started to tighten, he panicked. He ran a massive clearance sale that brought in coins but completely ruined his profit margins. He could not manage his business because he had never learned to manage himself. Within 18 months, the company went bankrupt. His friends lost their investment. One of them stopped speaking to him entirely. Jin was left with a cold, heavy realization. The problem was him. That realization is incredibly painful, but it is also the first step toward actual change. Because as long as you blame external factors, you cannot fix the problem. When you admit that the issue is internal, you finally gain the power to change it. Jin spent months reading old texts on self-mastery, looking at maps of old campaigns, and studying leadership scrolls. But information without actual application is just noise. He needed to see how these principles worked in the real world. On a rainy day in a dusty trading town, Jin attended a small gathering on leadership and mindset. He sat in the back row with his arms crossed, highly skeptical. He had heard enough empty promises from self-help speakers. The speaker was a man named Obanai. He was 52, with graying hair and a calm, deliberate way of moving. He did not use slides or read off a script. He walked to the center of the stage and asked a simple question. How many of you have tried to change a habit and failed? Most of the hands in the room went up. How many of you have failed at the exact same thing more than once? And how many of you honestly believe that the next time you try, you will end up failing the exact same way? The room went completely silent. Jin felt a tightening in his chest. Obanai nodded slowly. That silence is where we need to look. He began to talk about Miyamoto Musashi. He explained how Musashi survived a major battle at age 16, lost his father early, and spent his life wandering Japan to perfect his craft. But Musashi did not just study swordsmanship. He studied calligraphy, painting, and philosophy. For him, there was no division between his art and his daily life. Obanai quoted a line from Musashi's writings, "Make your battle stance your everyday stance." He paused to let the words settle. "What does this mean for us?" Obanai asked. "It means there is no separate version of you that performs well, and another version that lives your daily life. There is only you. You are not who you hope to be. You are simply the sum of what you practice every single day." Jin realized that for 2 years, he had been practicing inconsistency. He had practiced giving up when things got difficult. When the gathering ended, Jin did not leave. He waited until the room cleared, walked up to the stage, and asked Obanai if he took on clients for individual mentoring. Obanai looked at him closely. "My roster is currently full. I understand," Jin said, "but I lost my business. I ruined my friendships, and I need to learn how to change this." Obanai watched him for a quiet moment. "Most people come here looking for a quick fix. You seem to be looking for the truth, even if it is uncomfortable." Obanai wrote down an address on a small piece of parchment. "Saturday morning, 6 a.m. Bring a notebook." Jin arrived at the address at 5:58 a.m. It was a quiet, older gym with wooden floors and basic training gear. Obanai was already sitting in a wooden chair, holding a cup of tea. Next to him was a translation of the Book of 5 Rings. "You are on time," Obanai said. "That is a good start." He poured Jin a cup of tea and pointed to the notebook. "Before we discuss strategy, I need an honest answer. When your business was still open, when were you most disciplined?" Jin thought for a moment. "When I had an urgent meeting, or when a client was waiting for a delivery. And what about when nobody was checking on you?" "I put things off," Jin admitted. "I avoided the hard tasks." Obanai leaned back. "So you were only disciplined when you had to be. That is not consistency. That is just compliance." He pointed to a passage in the book. Musashi survived because of his daily preparation. What kept him alive was what he did on the days when there was no duel. The days when nobody was watching. He highlighted a specific line, "Do nothing that is of no use." "Think about how you spent your days," Obanai said. "How much time did you waste on trivial tasks just because they were easy, while avoiding the work that actually mattered?" Jin did not answer. He knew the answer was most of his time. "We all have 2 versions of ourselves," Obanai said. "The motivated version that wants to build something great, and the tired version that wants to take the easy way out. Real consistency is not about staying motivated 24 hours a day. That is impossible. True consistency is about what you do on your worst days, when the weather is bad, when you are tired, and when you want to quit." Over the next few weeks, Obanai introduced Jin to a concept called Fudoshin. "It translates to the immovable mind," Obanai explained. "It does not mean your mind is frozen or rigid. It means it is not easily swayed by external events." Musashi paired this with Mushin, or the empty mind. It means letting thoughts of fear or overconfidence pass through you without letting them dictate your actions. Jin remembered his business. When sales were high, he spent money recklessly. When sales dropped, he panicked. He was completely ruled by his emotions. Musashi did not build an immovable mind by sitting in a quiet room, Obanai said. He built it by facing difficult opponents. He tested his mind under pressure to find where his focus cracked. Obanai picked up another small text. This is the Dokkodo. It contains 21 principles Musashi wrote just days before he died alone in a cave. One of those principles is, never stray from the way. This is not a vague, spiritual concept, Obanai said. The way is simply your daily practice. It is what you do this morning. It is the choice you make when no one is looking. This ancient approach matches what modern science now tells us. In Atomic Habits, James Clear writes that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. It is a process of building an identity through small actions. Similarly, neuroscientists like Andrew Huberman note that the brain builds stronger pathways when we force ourselves to perform tasks that involve friction and effort. Your mind learns to be resilient by navigating moments of discomfort. As Viktor Frankl wrote, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Musashi called that space mushin. It is the gap where you decide to act with intention rather than impulse. For a few months, Jin made steady progress. He started a new project, managed his schedule tightly, and felt a sense of control. Then, in October, a major supplier delayed an important delivery. A key client pulled out of a contract, and Jin lost $4,000 in a single week. The familiar feeling of panic returned. He found himself thinking, maybe I am just not cut out for this. He missed his next session with Obanai, sending a hand-delivered scroll saying he was unwell. That afternoon, a knock came at Gin's door. It was Obanai. "You are not sick," Obanai said quietly. "What happened?" Jin explained the lost money and the delayed order. "It feels like the last. Business all over again." "Jin," Obanai said, "do you know what Musashi did after the Battle of Sekigahara?" He was on the losing side of that war. Many of his peers took their own lives or gave up entirely. Musashi was only 16. He had every reason to believe his life was ruined, but he did not let that defeat define his identity. He viewed it as data. He reorganized his approach and kept training. There was a pause on the line. "You lost $4,000, Obanai continued. "That is a real setback. But you are not the same person who went bankrupt. Setbacks are part of any real process. The question is not whether you will face them. The question is how quickly you choose to get back to your routine." He introduced one more concept, shikata ganai. It means accepting the things you cannot change so you can focus entirely on what you can control. You cannot undo this week's loss, but you can control what time you get up tomorrow morning. The following Saturday, Jin was back at the gym at 6 a.m. with his notebook. A few months later, Obanai introduced the concept of ichinen. It means one thought or absolute intention, Obanai said. In the warrior tradition, it refers to putting your entire focus into a single action without keeping a backup plan in the back of your mind. Jin realized he had always kept an exit strategy ready. He always had a mental excuse prepared in case things got difficult, which prevented him from committing fully. Musashi did not fight with an easy exit in mind, Obana said. He treated each action as if it were the only one that mattered. In your work, you cannot control the final outcome, but you can control the quality of your effort. That is where you apply ichinen. The principle carries over to everything, Jin noted. Exactly, Obana said. Musashi stopped fighting duels around age 29. He spent the rest of his life writing, painting, and sculpting. He brought the exact same focus and discipline to his artwork that he had brought to his duels. His paintings are still highly regarded today because he did not separate his discipline from his life. Musashi was not born with these qualities. He had a highly unstable childhood and was left to figure things out on his own. His consistency was not a natural gift. It was a conscious decision he made, daily, right up until his death. 1 year later, Jin was back in the trading town. This time, he was not sitting in the back of the auditorium. He was on stage, speaking to a group of local business owners about how he rebuilt his career. Consistency is not a talent you were born with. It is an identity you choose to practice, day after day, through small, quiet decisions. As Musashi wrote at the very end of his life, never stray from the path. Your path is built by the small choices you make every single morning. If you are ready to stop relying on temporary motivation and start building a stable routine, focus on your next daily choice. Thank you for your time. Focus on the work and stay on your path.